In this country, we have had one of the most hotly contested debates, especially since 2022, after Roe v. Wade was overturned. After 50 years of being the law of the land, abortion was a right. However, now we leave it up to the states. This has caused a significant debate between even conservatives, some who claim to be pro-choice and others pro-life. We want to get to the bottom of this, and we want to have a good discussion about it here on Breakaway USA. And so that's why we have some phenomenal guests. And joining me as a moderator tonight to introduce those guests is Fabian Garcia.
Hey everyone, so happy that you're here. You're going to get some really incredible insights, and it's going to get a little bit exciting, so be prepared. So I want to introduce our guest today. We have Emily Wilson and we have RC. I'm going to introduce Emily Wilson. If you don't know who she is, she's a fiery cultural and political commentator that shakes things up, who lives in the heart of Los Angeles. She's an outspoken rebel, and she fearlessly tackled the pandemic head-on, unleashing her unapologetic opinions against suffocating lockdowns and coercive vaccines. Know her. She is one that electrifies people with her car rants, which is the stuff of legends, and she's a force to be reckoned with online. She has a knack for making waves and ruffling feathers, and that's exactly why we're here today. And on the right-hand side, we have RC, who is the Right Corner IG. He's a Christian conservative social media content creator, and he speaks about cultural, social, economic, and theological issues facing our society today. His goal is to help reestablish the Christ-first standard in American conservative politics and point everyone, especially the younger generation, back to God. Now, quickly, I do want to break down how the show is going to work quickly, just so you have an idea. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a debate format, and we're going to have opening statements from each person. Then we're going to go into questions and rebuttals, cross-examinations. We're going to take your audience questions, so make sure that you are asking them in the comment section, and then we'll have closing statements. And Kevin and I are just the moderators. We're just here to keep the peace and ask some very good questions depending on what the people say. So without further ado, I am going to turn it to I forgot who is going first. Is it? I think RC, you were going first, right? Okay, I think
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, perfect. So here we have opening statements. Take it away.
So you pretty much defined my position in the introduction. The conservative movement, the foundation is in Christ. We are a Christian movement. The United States has been a Christian nation, societally speaking, for hundreds of years. Just look at the statistics, 98 to 99%, fluctuates a percent or two throughout hundreds of years. That's kind of started changing in the 1960s, hence the reason we need a conservative movement to retain conservative traditional values. So when we ask, what are traditional values? We root them into Christianity. So that's basically my arguments. I want to really spark this debate between Emily and I, because this is the video that I saw. And, you know, the micro problem that we're having here is over abortion. But when we zoom out, the macro problem is we need to reestablish what the standard is for the conservative movement. Because if we lose sight of what the standard is, we become like the left. The reason they act and do the things they do is because they're not centered in Jesus Christ. That is our standard here in the United States. That's definitely the standard in the conservative movement. So the debate today is about abortion. I'm going to play this audio, and then, you know, it'll kind of speak for itself.
I've always been pro-choice. I will always be pro-choice. I will never understand why Republicans would rather continue to lose elections and give the country over to literal psychopaths than just go middle on this subject. I understand it's sad, it's horrible, it's taking a life. Okay, it's all these things. Okay, I don't understand.
So, I mean, as Emily's sitting there smiling, and as she said that she's admitting that it is ending a life, it's killing a human life, you know, we don't stand for that as conservatives. We don't negotiate with God and the devil. We don't negotiate with these leftists and their insane, diabolic, hedonistic values. We do not stand on that side. And if you don't stand on this side that you're pro-life, if you don't stand on the side that you are Christ first, if you don't stand on the side that we have to retain Christian values, which are baked into the conservative movement, then you can stop calling yourself a conservative, because that's not what you are. This new brand of progressive conservatism that Emily and, companions of hers are trying to brand themselves as, that PragerU and companies like Turning Point USA hire. That's not what conservatism is. That will never be what conservatism is. And that's my opening statement.
Emily?
Oh, you're muted, Emily. Let's make sure. Let's restart that one more time. There you go.
What opening statement? I'm Emily. I'm a cultural and political commentator. Obviously, I'm a registered Republican. I vote right. I don't put myself in any category. So this whole conservative thing is like, I really don't care. I don't like labels. I don't fit into any box 100%. I respect other people and their upbringing and their values, and I have my own.
So I think with that, and I kind of want to continue this as part of the opening statement. Could you just claim why you're pro-choice? Would the video that RC played identify that, or is there anything further?
I've made multiple of those videos. It's kind of weird because I posted it online. I've literally said since the beginning I'm pro-choice. I think you guys are missing, and he's specifically missing, a huge part of this. I post opinions online for a living. And usually it has to do with the general population. It's one of those things where it's like people are, calling me all these names online, and it's like, just because I believe in pro-choice for other women does not necessarily means that's something I would do for myself, for instance. But I've always been pro-choice. I don't know why this is like a huge thing. I think women should be able to decide what they do with their bodies. I do think there should be regulations on it. And I do think we could find a middle ground on this. And I do think that's safer for everyone involved if there is a middle ground on it.
Interesting.
So, guys, this debate all started from I believe it was the video that you played in the very beginning about her issue, and I think that we actually have that here. So let's go ahead and play this video just so people get some context, and then we can open up for some debate.
I've always been pro-choice. I will always be pro-choice.
I made a video criticizing this pro-abortion stance because she claims to be a conservative. Let me show you how she responded. She slides into my DM, sending me this guy's tweet that reads, "I'm noticing a lot of younger conservative men who seem to legitimately hate beautiful women simply because they won't date you." See, now this is the emotionally charged feminist response to when a man criticizes a woman on an opinion she voluntarily put out on the internet. The only reason is because you won't date him. That's what her mind has conceptualized. Not because it's legitimately dumb to hold the pro-abortion position as a conservative, since the two things are contradictory of one another, and I would have weighed the same level of criticism to a man. That's definitely not the reason, right? And of course she commented on the video saying that I'm obsessed with her, and of course that's the only reason that I would make a response. Anyway, I'm still waiting for some cohesive response to the criticisms that I weigh towards you, because there's not much merit behind those emotionally charged feminist responses that you've given thus far. So I would even handle this in a debate with a moderator if you'd like, so we could hash it out there. I think it makes for fruitful discussion within our conservative movement. Let me know.
Enter my handsome face. So we look at that, and obviously we have a lot of questions. We want to really get to the heart. I think it'd be important to understand exactly the middle ground that we can find in this. And so I want to start simply, and I know Fabian has questions. We'll go back and forth. But Emily, in your opening, you discussed the idea that you were a Republican. You didn't subscribe to a label such as conservative being an ideology, the way in which you think. So do you just simply follow the Republican platform? And where do you, what do you base your opinions off of? Obviously maybe it's not subscribing to a specific ideology, but how do you form your opinions?
Yeah. So once again, we live in America where we have this thing called freedom of religion. You got, like, a lot of people continue to loop in conservative and Christian, which do not always go together. I also don't come out as people label me as a conservative commentator, and the news labeled me that when I used to do Newsmax. It's not something I say anymore. I think I'm leaning a lot more, especially lately, very middle and libertarian. So it's one of those things I don't label myself, but it's also weird because other people will label me that and then expect me to be upheld to their standards, which I don't really understand anymore. I'm very, very middle on most things. And that is because of my upbringing, which is, I can't believe these aren't common sense things. Based on your life experience and upbringing, you're going to have certain values and views. Mine are based on my upbringing. And also, they change naturally. The older I get, the more I become in depth with politics or spirituality or religion. So everything's not set in stone. And it's okay to be involved in multiple areas of all these things. I don't think it's like I'm being upheld to the standard that I don't even claim to be, and I'm not claiming to be right now. And my views change.
Are you religious?
No, I'm not.
Gotcha.
RC?
Is there a question for me, or should I respond to
so
that?
you're a conservative, and you've defined and said that you are a conservative.
Conservatism.
What is
let me be
that?
clear.
What does that mean?
It's the fuel for the Republican Party. Why else would you not vote for what the left does? What is holding us, what's conserving us back from voting for these transsexual, homosexual, marriage, abortion, leftist, anti-God values? What stops us from doing that? The Conservative Party. That's what we've always stood for. You can sit there and laugh at killing babies. I don't think it's funny. You can sit there and laugh at transsexual minors, which are not transsexual, being mutilated, at 12, 13 years old and younger, giving puberty blockers. We don't stand for that. That's what the left does. There's a stark line that we have to draw. And you say that you don't label yourself, yet you call yourself a Republican. So you do label yourself. You do pick and choose when it's convenient. You do vote for Trump, but you're a liberal Republican. Is that what this new thing is? You're libertarian when it's convenient. You're a liberal when it's convenient. You're an atheist.
I'm a registered Republican. I don't know if you understand how that works. I'm a
so
registered
you do label
Republican.
Yourself.
I work in Republican media.
Would you consider yourself right-wing?
Other people would. I think I'm very
I'm not asking about other people. I'm asking, would you consider yourself right-wing?
Some of my views are left-leaning and some are right-leaning.
Okay, so you don't have a position. So the other thing I wanted to touch upon.
I don't have to take
to be clear, and I mean, I will admit, as a moderator, I think it's good to be open about my opinion. I myself am pro-life, but I want to be clear. What she said was that she has multiple views ranging from different opinions. I want to say that. RC, I want to get back to the point that we were making from this first question.
Right.
Can you separate Christianity from conservatism, or
you can't.
Are they bound together?
No. Yeah, of course they're bound together. And if you do that, it's a different brand of conservatism. And the only difference between that and the left is that it's just going to lag behind what they're progressing. It's just going to end up there. If you don't stand for something, you're going to fall for anything. This is a debate about abortion, so I suppose we should get into that. But I want to cement. Do you notice her response? I wasn't finished, but do you notice her response? I wasn't finished, but I wasn't finished. I wasn't finished. I wasn't finished. I wasn't finished. So do you notice her response to me is that the only reason that I'm disagreeing with her is because I'm not attracted to her, or this is like a war on hot women, when I would have weighed the same criticism. Now you can sit there, nod, and convince yourself of that. That's a typical feminist argument. I didn't know that you were a feminist making those type of arguments. I criticized you because this is harmful for our movement. This is harmful for the Republican Party. This is harmful for the conservative movement, which are hand in hand. And no, I didn't criticize you because this is a war on hot women. I have a beautiful girlfriend. I could care less who I'm responding to.
Can we see
a
photo of her?
It could be a man or a woman. What?
Can we see a photo of her?
No. Is
and how do we know she's beautiful?
Okay. So is this your best argument? Is this how this is gonna go?
The question.
All right.
So but can he answer? Are we Christians and conservatives are the only ones? There can't be Jewish people, Muslims, Buddhists. It's only Christians that can be conservative.
Oh no, I'll make that clear. No, you can be a Jewish person and be conservative. You can be a Muslim person and be conservative. But if I traveled to the United Emirates, for example, let's say I wanted to live in Dubai and I wanted to be a conservative in Dubai, guess what? Can you guys see me? Because the camera just changed.
Yep, you're full. You're full screen.
Cool. I am going to respect their conservative values if I choose to live in a country where it's a Muslim-led country, because their traditional values are, guess what, based in the Quran. If I went to Israel and I wanted to be a conservative in Israel, guess what? Their traditional values are based in Judaism. And if I wanted to be a conservative in the United States, you don't have to be a Christian, but you have to respect that we are a movement that's led by Christ. Just like you have to respect that that's a movement led by Allah in the United Emirates and Muslim countries, and you have to respect that it's a movement led by Judaism in Israel. So that's the way I would answer your question.
Okay, now it's back.
Yep. Did you have a response to that, Emily?
No, it still seems very contradictory, because everything he says loops in Christianity and conservatism, and there seems to not be like anything else. Like you couldn't be, any other ideology. And I also America's freedom of religion as well. So I don't know, but I get it. We're Christ first. We get it.
I understand that. The reason I wanted to go on the questions regarding conservatism is I want to make sure that we can define what we believe in, or define our terms before we actually get into it. And I want to get into it. And I want to, again, without assuming where anybody actually stands, yes or no, do you believe abortion is a fundamental right? Emily, first, yes or no?
A fundamental right?
Like one that should be enshrined in our Constitution. If our Congress were to pass a law, or pass an amendment, a constitutional amendment, do you believe that they should? No? Could you expand upon that?
Yeah, I mean, it's like one of those things. It's like, I would say yes. And then I also respect when it goes state by state. I think that's fair as well.
I wanted to ask RC a question. RC, are you, I'm going to assume that I know who you're voting for, but I just want to ask, would you be voting for Biden or for Trump in the election?
Come on, man. I'm voting for Trump.
Okay. And the reason I asked that is because Kevin brought up something, a question when we were prepping for this. And Kev, if you'd like to ask it.
Yeah, I wanted to get, because I want to get to that question, and I was going to follow up because I want to ask, because I assume I already know your answer to the question I asked Emily. I just want to be fair. Do you believe abortion is a fundamental right? Yes or no?
Well, I would ask you, where do rights come from?
Well, God,
because you're saying it's a fundamental right. So is that a right we're born with? Is that your question?
One that should be enshrined in the Constitution.
No, it is not a fundamental right to kill a life. No,
absolutely. Well, Donald Trump,
kill a human life.
Donald Trump, while not necessarily who you have said you've supported, or you're now supporting for president, has come out and said that he believes this is a states' rights issue. Now, while not necessarily being enshrined in the Constitution, many blame him for the bans that happen in states such as Florida, in which I believe you live. But I live in Illinois. Illinois is one of the most pervasive abortion states. And so if people are to blame Trump for Florida, then they must also blame him for Illinois, in which a 12-year-old can get an abortion without parental consent. Given your pro-life view, how can you support Donald Trump in 2024?
I can withhold criticism for Trump. He's not a perfect candidate. There's other positions he has. There's other things he does that I don't support, but he is far better than the other side, because the other side, as we know, it's just, they are absolutely being led by the enemy being Satan. I mean, the things that they support are absolutely antithetical to all things Christianity. I don't support that at all. So yeah, of course, Trump is not perfect. There's positions of his that I don't 100% support. And I think if you 100% support anybody, absolutely, and you withhold zero criticism, then you're idolizing that person, and you need to reconsider your values, because you're not asking yourself hard enough questions. If you 100% support any one person, except for me, for Jesus Christ. But if you 100% support a human being like Trump, you're not asking yourself hard enough questions.
It seems like Emily, though, is more supportive, and correct me if I'm wrong, Emily, you're more supportive of Trump's policy than RC is, correct, in terms of the abortion issue? You're currently muted. Let's make sure we get you unmuted. Sorry.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
If it was me in charge, I would allow every single state to have abortion rights, whatever you
Really?
want to call them. Him doing state by state. I think that's fair. If it's what the state wants and the majority of people, I can respect that. I think Trump is a more middle on this subject person.
Gotcha.
I don't know what's going on with my camera.
Well, you must have been celebrating the answer that
Your
Emily-
computer heard me talking and they thought it was fantastic, so they did balloons.
Yeah, that must be it.
Well,
So RC, I'd actually like to ask you a question. So there's a debate right now in the conservative movement where do you stick to your guns and say no abortion whatsoever and potentially lose out on millions of voters that would want to come over, but that's a sticking point, especially with women? Or do you take the hard stance and say, no, even if we lose a few more elections, we have to stick to our guns? Or is there some leeway anywhere in there for any kind of middle ground?
Yeah, I don't negotiate with the devil. I don't negotiate with the enemy, because then if you don't draw lines, you're no different than the other side. The only difference is that you're lagging behind their supposed progression, and you will end up supporting the same positions that they support. It's a hard no on pride in schools. It's a hard no on kids having hormone blockers. It's a hard no on abortion. It's a hard no on basic Christian fundamental principles that the conservative party, the Republican Party, has to uphold. And if you don't uphold it, what separates you from the left?
Well, aren't you basically criticizing Emily for essentially what Trump is doing then?
If Trump was sitting there, I would weigh the same criticism toward him. As I said, this is not because she's a woman. It's not because she thinks that this is a war on hot women. If I could speak face to face to Trump or anybody else that holds this pro-abortion stance, there's no negotiating with the enemy. There's no negotiating with killing an innocent human life.
Well, if that's the case, then you said you don't negotiate with the enemy. However, you said you are voting for Trump. So it would seem to me that there is some kind of middle ground there where you have to kind of say,
okay, wait.
Evil at this point.
I respect that this is your guys' platform. I just want to make sure I understand. Is this a 3v1? Is this a 2v1? Or am I going to be discussing with Emily?
RC,
Because
do not worry.
I want her to hold her arguments. I want her to answer to these questions. You guys don't have to like rally around her.
No, trust me. We will be going. We will be ensuring that we are asking both of you difficult questions. Emily,
just so you know,
to say as well.
Just so Kevin is pro-life, I am also pro-life.
I'm on your side, RC. Like I agree
you.
with you more than I agree with Emily, but I'm trying to make sure that we have a good argument here on both sides of it.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's just like we're going back and forth with the questions and then debate. So, I mean, I'll answer a question and then ask Emily a question.
Absolutely. Honestly, perfect timing. Okay, so you discussed a little bit, RC, even you brought up the idea that Emily says that part of this is a war on women in some way, or a war. And Emily, you can correct me in my wording on that. But war on hot women or something like that is around the quote that you said, correct? You're muted.
It was a repost from my friend CJ. I also think, God bless you guys. You guys are taking things that are. My platform is supposed to be digestible for a normal person, a person in the middle and left leaning, and someone on the right who doesn't take them so seriously because they're not clinically insane. So I think you guys are also taking things and you're like expanding them into these crazy statements. I make millions of statements a day. It's really not that deep. It's literally a joke, and it's like I'm used to this right-wing movement of like complete grifter incels that just hate on me because I'm attractive. No offense, he's made an entire platform just attacking attractive women. So it's like, obviously if I was fat and ugly, I don't even think he would be using my videos or saying anything. But I think you guys are like amplifying it. It's really not that deep or serious.
Well, okay, but your statement being that it's some way attacking or being or the way that he's operating or the pro-life and the ardent pro-life opinion is in some way an attack on women or attractive women is kind of what you said.
Attractive women are always getting attacked, but there's this small little group inside the right-wing movement, whatever you want to call it. I don't care what you can call it, anything you want. But they do tend to specifically go after pretty girls and attack them. And I think if these women didn't have big followings and weren't beautiful, they wouldn't say anything. If I had 100 followers and was overweight.
Well,
I actually have a video of this. So I have a video about this specific issue I like to play, and then I like to get RC's take on it.
Don't hang out with anyone really less attractive than me.
Two groups of people that hate me.
women that are jealous and men that can't fuck me.
Well, you're gonna have to come up with a new group for me, because I'm neither one. So when you say you don't hang out with people unless they are as attractive as you, are you talking about with all the makeup you have on and the bee stings and the fake Wolverine nails and all the filters? Because clearly you're not talking about natural beauty. Also, to think that the only two groups of people that disagree with you are women that hate you or men that want to have sex with you is an extremely narcissistic standpoint. It shows that your most valuable asset that you've attributed to yourself is what you offer men.
Yeah, I literally agree with all of that.
You
That's
agree
why I
with
made the
me?
video.
You agree with me?
No, I
about
agree with
that?
everything I said. I'm doubling down. Also, I just want to
Okay.
put this out there. I've never had a straight male attack my looks. I find it very weird. Attack my politics, I understand, because that's like kind of what we do for a living. But like attacking my looks is crazy. Like I'm sitting here the way I look every day. I don't have filters on or all these things, but it's just so weird because it's like you wouldn't do that to an ugly girl who's getting no attention, but you have no problem doing it to me. Like attack my politics. What is it? What do my looks matter to you? You can keep scrolling.
Yeah. So Fabian, you asked for my opinion on the take. Okay, so a few things. So Emily, what you're just ranting about, right, is that why don't you attack my politics and not my looks? So two things I would say to that. My recent video is literally attacking your politics. You made it about your looks. You made it about, it's because I'm a hot woman and that's the only reason that you're attacking me. No, I'm attacking your politics. The video that I responded to your looks is because you are claiming that the only reason you get any criticism is from women that hate you and men that want to you, okay? And I said, well, I'm neither. I'm literally neither. So then what do you say to me? Because it's like this, it's this feminist front that it's, well, if you attack my positions, it's because I'm a woman. And you shouldn't attack, because you're attacking a woman. No, I'm attacking your positions. That's what I'm doing. I'm criticizing your takes. You could be a man saying the same thing.
You're criticizing my take on hanging out with pretty girls. Like, I'm so sorry. Like, what does that have to do with you at all? Like, what a weird thing as a straight man to comment on. Like, this is for the girls. I'm like, this is coming from personal experience as a woman. That's why I'm so confused. Like, babe, what does that even have to do with you? What do my nails and my makeup have to do with you?
It's just for the girls, right? Yet you posted it on a platform publicly for millions of people to see. So if it was just for the girls, why didn't you just send it to your like Swifty girl group chat so that your Swifty friends?
Because this is what I do for a job, for a living.
Okay, so then you made a public opinion and I publicly criticized it.
You publicly criticized my looks, which, like I said, is just inherently very, very weird.
Okay, your whole video was about your looks. You weren't talking about your pro-gun stance and I started coming in and gunning at your looks. You were talking about your looks and I criticized your opinion.
Okay, I don't think you understand. I was with a comedian on a podcast that's for entertainment because I know everything is like balls to the wall for you, but it's like really not that deep. It's literally just a basic stance.
So
I hang out with pretty girls. I'm sorry that upsets people.
You said that I only criticize attractive women, that my whole platform just attacks attractive women?
Yeah, is that not literally your platform?
Yeah. Have you not spent like 3 minutes looking at my content? Because look, you know what? To each their own, but to my opinion, it has nothing to do with their attractiveness. And I think objectively, a lot of people would agree that a number of those people that I respond to, men or women alike, it has nothing to do with their attractiveness. So
yeah, you're right. I didn't spend a lot of time on your platform. And I am a feminist. I believe in equal rights for women.
You're a feminist. You know, that's interesting that you say that you're a feminist, because did you know that the early feminists like Elizabeth Cady Stanton, for example, were anti-abortion? You can go look at the early feminist movement. Yeah, well, you said you're a feminist, right? They were anti-abortion. Go look at the early feminists that started the movement.
We can never progress. We must go from the inherent things that have started and never look past that.
I'm a conservative, and I think that conservative traditional values.
We know you're a conservative. We know.
Yeah, and we know that you are not. We understand that you're a progressive liberal that likes to vote Republican because it's convenient for you. We get it.
Fine with me.
That's fine with you. See, this is the type of talent that PragerU and Turning Point USA hire. That's why you can't respect those conservative organizations, because they fund people like this, rebranding this conservative movement to something that it's not, and it's really pathetic to say the least.
Well, I want to come
I'm
back.
so curious, like work-wise, what networks you've worked with or been on, because I know my track record.
Yeah, I don't. I'm an independent creator, and a lot of these conservative organizations that, cater to the special interest groups don't like America First, Christ First conservatives. They don't want to hire that. They'd rather hire people like you to shovel whatever agenda they want to shovel, so that it's like this cool new conservative branding, so that you can just spoon feed it to a bunch of Gen Zers that think this is the cool new thing. No, we are a Christian country. We've always been a Christian country, and I stand for that.
I just think it's funny that all the biggest conservative networks have had me on, but not you.
Well,
yeah, and that says a lot to the special interest. No. That says a lot to the special interest groups that they are catering to. You're proving my point.
I don't think this is necessarily needs to be a measuring contest of what networks certain people have been on.
I'm proud of my career.
You absolutely should be, and I'm happy you are. But what I want to bring up is the idea that you were talking about, Emily, a little bit when it comes to abortion, and your stance on it, and you said even that it might be a little bit of like you take certain just basic stances for certain entertainment purposes. A lot of people that take that are in entertainment that take these stances, they come out like Michelle Wolf was one who did on her show. They come out with these skits and social media tirades that are shout your abortion, celebrate your abortion. Do you think abortion is something that should be celebrated, or do you recognize it as a very somber, solemn, and private idea that should not that is still resulting in the death of a child?
So I believe in a perfect world there wouldn't be abortion, but we don't live in a perfect world. We live in a pretty dark one at times. I do believe abortion is something that should absolutely in no case ever be celebrated. And I think it should be completely private and between the woman, potentially her partner, and a doctor.
Gotcha. You did say in your opening statement as well that there should be some level of restriction. Would you mind sharing what you believe that should be?
Yeah, of course. I mean, obviously, do I believe past a certain point, you've made a decision, you've had a long time with that decision, and you should have to move forward with that? Yeah, I don't have an exact date for that. I know people say the first trimester, and I think those are very logical. I think aborting a child at obviously 7, 8, 9 months is absolutely horrific and should not happen.
Interesting. The majority of abortions do not happen during the first trimester, or at least the ones that are performed surgically. Yeah. The majority of surgical abortions are not performed in the first trimester.
I'd like to kind of take it further on this subject and ask a quick question to RC. So how, in your estimation, should the government balance the rights of the mother with the rights of the unborn child?
Okay, again, where do rights come from? Why are you I don't get this rolling your eyes. You are no.
You can't argue on anything but religion, which doesn't exist to me, and a lot of other. You have to back something with religion.
Okay, cool. So
with anything else.
Okay, so this rolling your eyes, you do politics for a living, I thought. So religion is intertwined with politics in the United States because we have always been a Christian country. You can roll your eyes at that all you want. We've always been 98%.
Okay, well, I believe in separation of church and state.
And I didn't disagree with that, but societally speaking, we've always held Christian values, and the Bible's baked within the Constitution. That flag behind you, you can thank the founding fathers, which were Christian, coming over here, escaping a Catholic monarchy to found the best country in the world. So you can
argue without religion.
How can you separate religion from a fundamentally Christian country?
Okay, God. Okay, well, what if you don't believe in God? Then where do they come from?
Okay, so if you think rights come from government, then if the government says that it's okay to rape people, then is it okay to rape people because rights come from government?
Well, obviously not.
Obviously not, but why obviously? If rights come from government.
We're not animals, so we don't behave that way.
We're not animals. Okay, so what separates us from animals?
Well, ability to not do things like that.
Oh,
but I just think when you lose a lot of independence,
to...
this is the problem of why independence go further left than right because every single answer is religion. And I'm like, okay, so if I'm someone who's not religious or anti-religion, then how are we going to get on the same page about everything?
Okay, so you said that it's obviously wrong. I'm not going to have you, skate away from this point. Maybe this is the only time anybody's ever questioned you on morality. But if you think rights come from government, and I just said if the government says that raping is no longer illegal, you think it's still wrong, regardless of what the government says, right?
Yeah, it's wrong.
It's wrong, always wrong, no matter what the government says or doesn't say, right?
What do you mean? This is, by the way, this is an opinion. I can't speak on behalf of an entire country.
Well,
There's probably
the
people
fact
that think it's correct.
Yeah, well, are they wrong to think that rape is correct?
Well, who's judging them? I don't know. I can only have my
Well, I
opinion
know.
and answer what I think.
I
is
know
best.
who's judging them. I think you know who's judging them too. So no, the point I'm trying to
Maybe no one
illustrate
at
to you
all.
is that morality is not this subjective thing. That's what the left wants to push. That morality is subjective. It's taste. That whatever is okay to your taste, to your preference is okay. And that's not the case. Morality is objective. Just like Emily said that rape is wrong all the time, no matter what, so is killing an innocent human life, right? Because if we go back to the point of conception, it's a human, right? It is a human. Would you agree?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, and 96% plus of biologists agree that life begins. So it's a human and it's a life. So I don't think it's okay to end a human life because somebody's an irresponsible adult. I don't think that that's permissible.
Well, it's not always irresponsible. I mean,
well, 98%
say
of
across the
abortions
board.
are. Well, like for 98% of abortions, they're not ectopic pregnancies, they're not grapes, they're not
Also,
SA.
I would like to point of clarification and all that. Ectopic pregnancies are not actually factored into abortion statistics. They are not considered abortions because the fetus was not deemed viable whatsoever because its fertilization happened outside of the oh my God, what's the word? I can't remember the exact.
We got it though. Anyway.
Yeah.
But it's important to note that it's good that Emily, you conceded that rights don't come from government. Rights do come from God. That's why his blueprint is in us. If rights don't come from government, Emily, then where do rights come from? Because this is the fundamental, this is the basis, the foundation of this argument.
I think it would be good to be clear about the argument RC is making regarding because you keep coming back to God. What Emily is asking, I believe, is can you make the argument without it including God? I know it seems like your position is that it should include God, but can you make the argument
but let her answer the
entirely
question.
without it?
If I want her to answer the question, if rights do not come from government, which
that's
you
what
agree,
I don't understand.
where do rights come from if it's not government?
The government is literally telling us what our rights are, and they get stripped away as well.
Yeah, they're telling us the legal rights, but I'm talking about human rights. Okay, the government can make any number of legal rights. There's 195 countries in the world. Every government has their own set of legal rights. Okay, but I don't think that those are moral rights. And you've even conceded that our government doesn't dictate our human rights. So then what does? Because you said why do you keep bringing in religion? It's not about religion. Okay, then what?
Okay, you can say God. I'll say
foundation of human
nature.
rights?
That'll be like a middle.
You'll say nature because rape is found in basically all life outside of humans, right? Do they consent to mate? Do they when a lion mates with a lioness, is the lioness consenting to the lion?
But also, you're comparing animals to humans.
Well, you said it's nature, right? That's what you're doing.
Yeah, nature is all of us, not
right.
Just one or the other.
Well, all of us and humans are just one life of the numerous life on Earth. So if you're appealing to nature, well, nature does a lot of kooky things that I don't think you want to legalize humans being able to do.
I don't understand where this is going. It doesn't make any sense.
It's very clear. It's the point that I'm trying to make is your position is super ambiguous. It just floats in the wind. My position is very clear. Our rights come from God. Our rights always have come from God and always will. The Bible's baked within the Constitution. If you take Emily's position, she can't make a clear choice because she's appealing to nature. Well, nature does a lot of crazy things that we should not legalize human beings being able to do. So if you want to keep criticizing me for bringing religion into this, then criticize the founding fathers that brought religion into the Constitution.
Yeah, I know, but it's the problem is, and this is why so many people steer off from the right, is because when you bake religion into literally every single argument for everyone who is not religious, and then what is upholding your argument, and what, like, how do you actually feel about that when you take religion completely out of it? Because we're going to be
Okay.
speaking to a lot of people that are not religious or have
Right.
different religions than you, especially in
Right.
America. There are so many different religions, and we all live here together. So we can't just
Yep.
target and talk to one group. We really need to apply to everyone as much as we possibly can.
Right. And I've answered this earlier. Okay. If we don't have a standard as a conservative movement, then we're standardless. So you can be whatever religion or lack thereof and be a conservative, but you have to respect that the conservative movement is led by Christ. That we believe our rights come from God, and we believe that we are guided by our creator. That is our guidance for the conservative movement. It's not nature. Nature is not our guidance. Nature can be the
Who's the
guidance for the left.
founder and the leader of the conservative movement? Who are all these people that have decided this as a movement that I work with every day?
We collectively, as conservatives, have to draw the pillars of what it is to be a conservative. Because if we start appealing to nature and appealing to these ambiguous, subjective things, then what differentiates us from the left?
Okay. I mean, I do work with hundreds of conservatives on a daily basis all across the world. I will say that it's a little odd to speak on behalf of everyone in an entire movement. I think it would be more clear if you speak on yourself, because I don't think you speak for an entire conservative movement that involves a lot of people with a lot of different backgrounds as well.
That's why I would like to do my part to reestablish the standard that's always been. You know, it's crazy that we're having a debate about abortion as right wingers, as conservatives in this country. That for me is crazy, because if you were to turn the clock back 60 years ago, 50 years ago, there wouldn't be a debate about this within the conservative movement. This was just commonplace. We all knew that abortion's wrong.
Well, if you turn the clock back, there would also be a lot of negative things as well, and women wouldn't be treated as well. Gays would not have rights either. I mean, there would be a lot of negative things that I think would outweigh anything positive. I think this is just one of those things that you find to be negative, I find to be more progressive. But
So
I
you
would not
say
want to
that
be
it would.
as a woman.
You said that it would have been worse for a woman, you know, if we turn the clock back, yet the happiness index shows the reverse of that. Women were happier under the so-called patriarchy that you guys have liberated yourselves from, you women have liberated yourselves from, and you're unhappier more than ever. You're more overweight than you've ever been. You're more on antidepressants than you've ever been. Your mental health is worse than it's ever been. And I would argue that the statistics show the same for men, right? But the problem is not because of us getting it. The problem is that we're separating ourselves from what founded our country and our movement. And if we, push God away, that if we have kneeled to his authority all this time, and then in 1962, the Supreme Court outlaws, you can check me on this, the Supreme Court outlawed prayer in public schools, and we start, ripping God out of the hearts of the youth, then you see all the consequences of that. You see the mental health declining. You see crime rates skyrocketing, divorces skyrocketing, marriages plummeting. You see the fabric of our society pulling apart at the seams. And I would hope that you agree that what the left is pushing is trying to tear apart our society and like replant some. They're trying to just flip it on its head. They're trying to uproot the foundation and build something new. I would hope you don't agree with the left and a lot of the things that they push.
I don't. I agree with the left on very few things, and I disagree with a lot of things. And I don't think the country would be in a better place if they had even more power than they have now, which unfortunately is a lot. I would like to say, though, once again, I can only truly speak on behalf of myself, but I am very happy I am alive now and not then for medical reasons. The fact that I can have a career, and I am very happy, and I am anti-pharmaceutical. I am on no pills. And I am a thin woman. So I'm very happy. So are my girlfriends. Statistically, I feel very bad for all the other women, but for myself, I know that I'm doing very well, and I'm very thankful for that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to ask Emily, it seems like you're very happy, and I think that's a good thing. A lot of what you discuss when it comes to your channel and stuff is dating. To preface this question, are you currently dating anybody?
I'm in a relationship, yeah.
Yeah. Is he pro-choice, pro-life? And did you decide who you were dating on based on, or did that play a factor at all in who you were dating?
No, I mean, oh, wait, is it frozen? Oh, are we good?
We're good.
Oh, okay, it froze for a minute. He, I believe, is pro-choice. As we, I think, have discussed. We've been together like 2 years. We only discussed that recently. But that doesn't play into our relationship at all.
Comparable line of questioning to you, RC.
Yeah, I think she just illustrated what's wrong with a lot of dating today. And yeah, I'm in a relationship. I think what's wrong with a lot of dating today within our generation, Gen Z and the younger millennials, is you guys don't discuss what your values are. You've been dating him for 2 years and you just recently found out that he's pro-choice. I mean, it's not just criticism aimed at you. This is a widespread criticism of a lot of younger people. And you wonder why divorce rates are so high. You have people that get together, stay together because of sex, then get married, get divorced at 45 because they never discussed and made clear what their values are, what their core values are, their non-negotiables are. And then you wonder why the divorce rate's so high. This is the type of conservatism that I just cannot accept. This is why when you're standardless, you fall for everything and everything just falls apart.
Okay, so once again, I don't need to be looped into the conservative thing. Call me something else if that bothers everyone so much. Also, the first night we ever went on a date, we talked about religion, politics, literally everything, and we were extremely aligned on things. And that is why we started dating. So this whole thing, like, we don't talk about anything for 2 years, that's not true at all.
So for 2 years, you didn't know that he was pro-choice?
Neither of us have a strong stance on this. This is not how we live our lives. We're happy and we're usually working and doing other things. We don't sit around at home and be like, hey, what's your stance on abortion? Like,
that's your whole
not
career.
A normal thing to
That's
me.
what you do. This is your career, right?
Yeah, that's why I love him, because he's not political at all. And I get to actually just come home and relax and feel loved and be happy rather than being around someone. And what are we going to debate about this? Like,
I think that it's,
he respects me and my decisions.
Fair enough that your relationship, I respect that. I'm not going to tell you what or what not to do. I just think that it's important for all relationships, especially young relationships, just getting together, make clear what your core values and your non-negotiables are, because this divorce rate that we're seeing, which is separating the nuclear family and kids growing up in single parent households. And as we know, crime rates skyrocket when a kid grows up in a single mother household. It's really important to make concrete that you and your partner share what your core values are. And I just speak a lot about this on my channel as well. So I think it was an important time to bring that up.
Yeah, and we're literally aligned on everything, and I'm very thankful for that.
Absolutely. I want to talk a little bit more about the idea of how an abortion actually comes to be, or how even a pregnancy comes to be. Obviously, people don't just wake up one day and they are pregnant. And so in terms of the idea of contraception, that's also a hotly debated topic as it relates to abortion in the conservative circle. I'm sure I could assume some of your guys' positions, but how do you feel about contraception, sex in general, and how babies are made, and how the world currently treats them, and the conservative movement currently treats them?
You want me to go first?
Yeah, Emily first.
Okay. Yeah. So one thing is and ironically, for all the pro-life women that I hear across all the different platforms, apparently none of them care to educate young girls on their bodies whatsoever. As a woman, I know my body and I know how other women's bodies work. I mean, fertility-wise, we could not be more different. One thing I am completely against is birth control. Birth control temporarily ruined my life. It's ruined every other girl. I don't want to get into a birth control debate on here. The research is out there. There's a lot of great people going after birth control, and women are slowly waking up. They're getting off of it. I mean, it literally feeds cancer in you, makes you suicidal, depressed, changes who you're attracted to. So you should never be on birth control if you're looking for a husband. That's a whole nother debate. Other than that, I would say I'm really moving towards holistic medicine, and there are holistic ways for girls to track their fertility, and they can do that through a temperature every single day. That is something I 100% encourage all women to do. If you're having sex, if you're not, whatever, it's just great to have that information. It can help you. I'm very anti-birth control, but if that is something that you choose to do, once again, that is your body. But I just wish more pro-life women would help educate young girls on their body from a more holistic stance. I think that's also how to have happy, healthy young girls. And usually when you're happy and healthy, you make better decisions as well.
Ryan, or I'm sorry, RC. I don't know why I called you Ryan. I saw somebody's name Ryan in the comments. Keep commenting, everybody. We're gonna get to your questions too. But RC, what was your stance?
So contraception is it's pretty wide range of things. I would agree with Emily. I don't think that Plan B, or I don't think that that type of contraception is good. It's healthy for women. I don't think that birth control is healthy for women. I think the statistics bear out that. So I would agree with her there. I don't have a strong stance on condoms. I think that, as long as it's within the confines of a marriage, do what you want to do. I know that there's going to be some Catholics that disagree with me about that, but I don't want to ban all contraception. I don't think that would be a good thing. As long, again, as it's within the confines of a marriage, that's the way that we should be having sex. That's the way we were designed to do it, not just engaging in hookup culture, which is absolutely destructive to the youth.
Understood.
Can I also ask, if you believe in being pro-life, then wouldn't you 100% agree on banning Plan B, which is literally an abortion pill?
Oh yeah, I 100% ban Plan B.
Okay, well, props for that. At least that's not a conflicting statement if you're for one.
We found some common ground.
I would hope so. We're pretty much, we're both on the right wing. That's why I'm surprised that this debate's even happening. But I think, again, it goes to show what's been happening with our side of the ideological political aisle.
Well, I also think a lot of people can agree with, especially in the middle, which I think is a large amount of my audience, even though I have a huge right-wing audience, is that people are also starting to be honest about things, because it's harder to cover up things, especially when, right-wing politicians are and people that work in politics, influencers, like, let's be realistic, everything's on the internet. You can't lie very well anymore. So when you're going up in front of people and being like, no sex till marriage, we should ban abortion, yet, a lot of these people are in relationships with men, cheating on their wives, hiring escorts, making women have abortions. I think people are now, it's harder for them to lie. So they're coming out about their honest takes on these very difficult topics, which is how I feel. I could go ahead and say I'm pro-life and get a bunch of sponsorships and do even better, but that would not be truthful. And I would rather be honest than lie, like a lot of these people. And I don't have respect for people that lie.
Look, if you're principled, I respect that.
I'd like to go back to a question that I asked earlier, and I don't think we got an answer for it because it took a turn. But the question was, and I think I directed it to RC, if I'm not mistaken, but I'd like to get both of your takes on this, is how should the government balance the rights of the mother with the rights of the unborn child? Is there a middle ground? Is there somewhere where you think that we can find some kind of commonality in that?
Start with Emily.
So obviously, I think the rights of the mother would be more important than the rights of the unborn child. And I just wonder, what about if that baby is going to come out either unalive or with a horrible disability or all these different things? I'm confused. Obviously women have died in childbirth throughout history. That is a very real thing. Sometimes it is, you can be very high risk. And I just wonder, a pro-life thing, it's okay, so if it's the baby or the woman, who do you choose? And I understand these are hopefully more rare and heartbreaking things, but I don't really understand that, because for me, I would choose the woman every time.
RC?
So, yeah. So you said the rights of the mother are more important than the baby that she's growing inside of her.
In my opinion, yes.
Why?
Why?
Mm-hmm.
Because she's a full-grown woman.
And what separates that from? Yeah, so she has a child inside of her. So what's the difference between her and the child? Why is the child's life less valuable?
I don't even understand this argument. It's so crazy to me. It's like,
well, you're making the argument.
She is a full-grown woman who is alive, and breathing, could have a career, a husband, a family, other children, and this baby inside of her has none of those things.
Oh, so that's what
And
gives a
is
human
not
life
alive
value.
yet.
That's what gives a human life value, is having a husband or a wife and having a career.
One of those things where it's such a silly, it's like, I get it's trying to be like a gotcha moment, but like any person, black or white, would be like, of course this woman is more important. I don't even understand.
No,
Like, so
not
so
everybody would
you
say
would
that.
choose
No,
the baby? I mean, it's very
yes,
like illogical.
no, you're
So would you,
choosing
if it
to
was
not.
your wife, you would let her die and save the child? What would you
What?
choose?
So the doctor's gonna say if you give birth, you will die.
If you had to choose between the unborn child and the mother?
Is this a hypothetical or is this realistic?
Well, this has happened since the dawn of time. Yes, this
Oh,
is
so
very realistic.
well,
I'm asking you, what
it's
would you choose?
no, it's not realistic. I mean, I won't answer
How
your
is that not realistic?
You're asking a hypothetical because doctors don't have a crystal ball. They can't guarantee your wife is going to die in childbirth.
You ask me, what's more important, the child, the unborn child, or the mother? Boom, the mother, every single time.
Yeah,
I'm asking you, if you had to pick one, which one's more important?
they're
Which would
equally
you choose?
valuable. Every human life is
So then do you
valuable.
kill them both?
Nobody's getting killed.
If you had to choose, you just I answer the question. Why can't you answer? If it's that you can have the child will survive, or the
Yeah,
mother will survive, and you can't pick. Which, by the way, this
yeah,
happens. This is like a normal thing.
right.
They do it in movies. It's like one of those things. So which one do you choose?
So in your scenario, you are killing the human life. In my scenario, the mother may unfortunately pass away due to childbirth, but she's not getting killed. Nobody's killing her.
So you choose the child.
I'm not killing anybody. The doctor's not killing anybody. In your scenario is the only scenario where somebody's intentionally being murdered. In my scenario,
So you knew
nobody's being murdered.
if you chose to save the mother's life, you can have another child, you can have all these things. You would rather the mother pass and all your children grow up without a mother, even though you said the most important thing is like the nuclear family?
You can keep trying to appeal to emotion all you want. My position is I'm not
That's not emotion. These are literally normal
You're
questions.
appealing to emotion. And that's just a
How am I
tactic.
appealing to emotion?
Because
This
you're
is a
saying
hypothetical. There's no
is your
emotion in
question-
it for me.
Let me make sure I have your question correct then. You're asking me, would I rather murder the mother or the baby?
That's how you want to phrase it. Fine.
Well, no, because you are murdering a baby in your scenario. Nobody's being murdered in my scenario. Is there a risk that the mother may pass away due to childbirth? Yes, but nobody's being murdered. So it's not a one-for-one question. You're
Well,
the only one.
you're dying either
pro-murdering.
way.
Well, one is you're dying by natural causes. Another one is you're intentionally ending a human life. You're murdering a human life. There's a big difference between the two.
Okay. I mean, I disagree, but okay.
You disagree that a woman
They're like,
passing
because it's
away-
like you're like refusing to just admit that you would choose to save the baby, so you'd rather have the whole family lose their mother instead of like you could potentially have another child. So I agree to disagree, I guess. That's not how I see it.
You're comparing two things that are not the same. In your scenario, you are
Well,
murdering
she's
the
dying,
baby.
so either way, she'd be dead. That's why I don't.
So
what
if
is it?
she's in labor and she's dying and she's giving birth, then that is a natural cause. It's horrible, but nobody's murdering
Yeah.
her. Is she
You're
getting
fine
murdered?
with her dying as long as it's not
It's
murder.
gonna be
Okay.
It's heartbreaking, but no, I'm not gonna choose to murder a human life because there's a risk of child pregnancy. Then if that's your argument, then every baby should be murdered in her mother's womb because there's
No, I
always
just-
a risk with childbirth. There's always a risk inherent in childbirth.
That's gnarly. I just feel like every man would be like, I would choose my wife, but
Yeah. Okay. So again, I am choosing human life. And the question is, why I asked you, why do you think the mother's life is more valuable than the baby's life?
I do. I believe the mother's life is more valuable.
Right. And I don't. I think it's equally valuable. Every human life is equally valuable. That's my argument.
Yeah. See, I don't agree at all. I don't believe
Okay,
in that.
but yeah, you pick and choose who's more or less valuable. I don't.
Yeah, I do. That's why it's called an opinion.
Yeah, I understand. I disagree with your opinion.
Interesting. Well, I want to make sure we can get to some audience
questions.
Fabian?
Yeah.
Fabian?
So we do have a gentleman here that just asked a question as soon as I asked it, and I believe I don't know if it's the same Xavier de Rousseau. Is this the same one that you work with Emily, or you know, or something? And
Yeah.
Okay. So he asked a question, and I'm going to read it first because obviously he has, I guess, skin in the game, you can say. But what he said is he's actually turning to, well, let me just read what he said. He says, and I'll put it up here on screen. He says, does RC think his approach of attacking people bring people to Christianity or turn them away?
Can I answer the question that's directed at me?
Yep.
Okay, so I'm attacking positions. I'm attacking things people are saying. Okay, go look at my account. Did I slip up in my perhaps over 2,000 videos that I've put out? And maybe one or two, sure. But in 99.9% of my videos, you'll see I criticize the position somebody holds. I don't go after how they look. I don't go and take low blows. Emily, you made a video about how you look. You weren't talking about a political subject, and then I just criticized how you look. I responded, and I'm being principled. I responded to what you said. I criticize. No. You're muted, but I criticize. Listen to what I'm saying. I criticize and attack the positions of what people publicly say online. I don't criticize and attack the person. I don't just say, oh, your position's stupid and you're ugly and you're this and you're stupid and blah, 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 blah. No, I attack the position. So Xavier, I know that you're paid by PragerU and I know that you work for special interests and I know that you don't like the things that I'm saying, but the reality is I am not attacking people. Even Xavier, by the way, attacked me on his account, made fun of my face, said that I look like, just called me ugly and said a bunch of insults. I have not attacked Xavier. He's being a hypocrite, which is kind of on brand for, your new brand of conservatism. But I don't attack people. I didn't even attack Xavier when he was coming after me. I attacked his positions as I'm attacking Emily's positions, but I don't attack the person.
Okay, you literally just said, quote unquote, I don't attack people's looks. Your entire video is attacking my looks. So which one is it?
I criticized what you said in your video, and in your video, you happen to be talking about your looks. You weren't having a video about something unrelated. Listen to what I'm saying. I criticized what people say. And in that video, right, you were talking about your looks. In the video where you were talking about abortion, you would have a point if I then ignored your abortion take and just said you're ugly or you're stupid or something of the matter. I didn't do that, did I? I attacked what you had said. Just like in your video where you were talking about your looks, I criticized what you had said.
Which was about my looks.
Okay.
We're going back and forth on that one. Let's get to another audience question, and this one is directed towards more towards Emily. Just to clarify a stance from earlier, where would you draw the line at when an abortion should happen? I guess to make it more clear too, at what point would you agree with a ban on abortion? You might have mentioned first trimester, but I don't think you ever actually gave a direct
no
answer.
I mean that's something. It's like I don't know, this isn't my hill. There's so many important hills. This one is not for me. This is literally just because I agree I want other women to have that. I'm not going to state something because I don't know. I'm not going to be like 14 weeks and that's not how I do this. This is not how I work, and I could change my opinion tomorrow. I think it would have to be somewhere in the first hopefully 3 months. But I'm not going to make a firm statement because I'm not going to be a hypocrite about it.
Have you seen a baby at 3 months in an ultrasound?
Like I said, I'm not going to make a bold statement and say a week like someone wants me to.
Okay. I mean, I would have thought that for a debate about the subject matter of abortion, you would have had a pretty clear stance, but
it's not a hill I'm willing to die on.
Why would you debate me on it?
I don't do abortions for a living.
Then why would you debate me on it?
There's a million different things about this. It's not just what week. The debate wasn't what week are you going to ban abortion? I don't know. That's not my specialty. And it's also like, I also think it's inherently very weird. Men, like, why is there not a right-wing Christian conservative woman debating me on abortion? Well, I think it's weird to have a man doing it.
You agreed to come up on here. I was invited to this. You agreed to do it, right?
Yeah.
Then, this is a feminist card that you're pulling, but why isn't it a woman talking about this? So then
I think it's inherently weird for a man to be
it's inherently weird. So can you not speak about slavery because you weren't a slave?
That's not a topic that's
I'm not a woman,
right,
so I can't talk about abortion, but can you talk about
I've never said you can't have an opinion. I just think it's weird to be this intense about it.
Well, you're pretty intent about like your anti-trans stuff, which I would agree with you, but you're not trans, I don't think. So then why are you speaking about it?
I'm not like anti-trans.
You're not? You're pro-trans?
Not an anti or pro.
Well,
It's like I
I'm
believe
pretty
women should be in women's bathrooms. It's like that's a really like simple thing, very middle people agree on. I'm not anti-trans. I actually don't want that to be a thing at all.
Oh, you don't want to be anti-kids getting mutilated, and okay. I mean, I'm pretty clear on my position.
That's a separate thing. Of course, I'm against children transitioning and hormone blockers. I'm against all those things. I'm not against an entire group of like I'm not against Blair White.
Okay, all right.
I'm not against trans people.
So then you would be categorized by them as anti-trans, but you're not trans. So why do you even speak on those issues? That's pretty weird for you to speak on, right? I mean, it's weird, right?
Well, what I have, they affect me, and there's men in my bathrooms. And I can actually I can speak on anything even if it doesn't affect me, and especially when there's men in my bathrooms.
Like, thank you for making my
argument.
argument.
But I also don't like being put in the category of anti anything because I'm not.
Yeah, because you want to be middle grounds. You just want to play the safe.
Because unlike you, people from the middle and the left
lose. The Libertarian Party loses.
See a sane person.
Yeah,
they see a sane person. Whereas, like, I hate to say it, at the end of the day, it's like your audience is very hardcore Christian right wing. My audience is like, I can appeal to everyone. You will never, ever, ever shift a vote from the middle or the left. And I do. And there's a reason. That's why I have a bigger platform and I get to be on bigger platforms. And that's just a fact.
I'd like to kind of
special interest groups. That's why.
There's actually a follow-up question.
What do you have against Jewish people?
What are you talking about, Jewish people?
Because you're calling out Prager and you call out Xavier and you're like special interest groups and all these things.
Why did your mind go?
I don't understand.
Why did your mind go to Jewish?
Well, don't play cute about it now. I've seen all your content. Like, let's be real.
Why are you talking about?
Special industry and calling them out. Also, it's like so funny because it's so hypocritical.
Yes,
it's
I
like
spoke
the reason
plural.
why you're such a hater is because you're not backed by anyone big. You're not on networks because of your crazy right-wing opinions.
Emily, so if
not working out for your career,
this argument is like if I criticize the Black Lives Matter organization and you were to say you're a racist, you hate black people, I can criticize organizations. It has nothing to do with religion. What do you have against Jewish people? You sound like a liberal. You sound like
no. The difference is you don't have the balls to admit it because you don't want to get completely canceled because you're praying one day Fox will still pick you up.
Yeah,
if you're
okay.
Lucky.
Want me to pull up my like ancestry report and show you that I'm like 24% Jewish and my grandfather was 100% ethnically Jewish? Yeah, keep rolling your eyes. You're trying to pull this BLM card like the liberals did. Oh, you're against BLM? Just say the no.
Like,
let me finish. There
can't be anyone else. No one else.
No, I didn't say that. I did not say that.
It's Christian or nothing.
No, did not say that.
That's all you've been saying.
You know what? I respect if Israel puts Judaism in their conservative movement because that's what their country is. And I respect if the United don't mischaracterize me. And I respect that if the United Emirates put, Islam first. Huh?
Literally what you've been saying. Christianity, conservatism.
Yeah, because so let me ask you, for hundreds of years, 99% of our society was Muslim? Were we Buddhist? Were we Hindu? What religion was 99% of the US society for hundreds of years?
I hate the religion debate. This is why no one likes us and we lose. The religion debate is
mischaracterize me.
So old. How am I mischaracterizing you? You have the platform, babe. Say whatever you want. Like, defend yourself. I defend myself. Like, I'm not mischaracterizing you. If people want to take it that way, then that's fine. Like, go off.
I can criticize organizations. I can criticize Christ is King. Thank you. I can criticize organizations, and it's not hatred towards black people. If I criticize BLM, it's not hatred towards any group or religion or ethnic of people because I criticize an organization.
Okay, I have a lot of questions, so get through these because I have questions for you. I genuinely want to know your stance on these things.
There's a question in the audience. It kind of has to do with this, and I'd like to bring it up because a few times throughout this conversation, RC, you have said that Turning Point and PragerU have hired people that are suspect to you. There's a question from Lou Hawley that says, RC, I respect your desire to uphold Christian conservatism, but do you think requiring every Republican to check every single box you require to be a proper Republican is a reason so many people ran to the left? I don't think Republicans can win any election if you require every person to check every single box you require.
Yeah, I'm saying the standard for the conservative movement is Christ. You can be an atheist and be a conservative, but you can't try to reestablish what the standard is for our movement. That is the standard. What book does the president put his hand on? What book do people swear to oath in courts It's the Bible. Like, you can't separate something that is inherent within our Constitution and within our country. This is not my opinion. I'm not making this up. It's always been the case.
Muslims do. If there is a Muslim, like Ilhan Omar swears on the Quran, as far as I'm aware. So it's not always the Bible. It's if you
it's
are...
not always, but yes, you have freedom of religion. 99% of the time it is, and I'm just trying to, what is the point of being a conservative? It's written within the name. We are trying to conserve something. And I know that's controversial for everybody that doesn't want to conserve what we've always held traditionally. But of course, I disagree with them. That's what made us so great.
And so quickly, I kind of want to piggyback, just out of curiosity for my sake, is there an organization that you believe was doing all the things right in your estimation?
No, unfortunately.
Okay.
And you're never going to do all the things right. I'm not looking to check every single 100% to the dot box. You can have differences slightly different in economic policy. You can have slightly different differences in certain things. But what I'm trying to reestablish is what the standard is for us traditionally, and that is Christianity. And if you disagree with that, then, I disagree with it. Be an atheist. But don't tell us that conservatism has to now reform to what you want, which is, as Emily said, appealing to nature or appealing to some subjective term. No, I strongly disagree with that. We will become the left.
On an opposite side of that, to Emily, a lot of what you've stated is regarding the different platforms you are on, and the reason why maybe RC is not necessarily on other platforms is because of some of the opinions he holds. Would you say any of your opinions are dictated based on being able to get onto platforms, or do you genuinely hold them?
I genuinely hold all my opinions, and the fact that these platforms have me on for how extremely controversial and sometimes very middle and left leaning I am actually is shocking to me, if I'm being honest. And I will not tailor my content to go on their shows. And if they don't like it, then they don't have to have me on. I'm perfectly fine with that.
Appreciate that. Just wanted to clarify.
Audience question here. This would be for Emily. This is from J King's Cosmos. It says, Emily, can abortion be considered a fundamental human right? And if so, how does that intersect with societal values and norms?
I mean, we already went over that. It's one of those things. It's like, should this be a fundamental human right? It could be. It could also be state by state. I'm literally fine with either one of those. Obviously, when you're talking about a moral situation, like we said, everyone's different, especially because we have different views, different upbringings, different religions. So what's moral to one person is immoral to another person. So like I said, it's a huge gray area. I would be fine with either of those outcomes. I mean, I think it would suck to have to go to another state if something were to happen to you. But if that's what everyone in the state wants, I think that's maybe, unfortunately, whatever the state should have.
Absolutely. I know we usually keep these shows pretty close to around an hour to an hour and 20. So let's get to just, Fabian, you thinking one more audience question?
Yeah, we can take one more audience question here. And sorry, guys, there are tons of hundreds. So there was a question that I saw and I marked it as a favorite. And I'm going to kind of reiterate what it is, but I can't say it. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. And this one's for RC. This is from Elvis Pereira. Question to RC. Does Catholicism hold any value in the Christian conservative movement?
So what were their founding fathers escaping in England, right? They were leaving a Catholic monarchy. Can you be a Catholic in the Christian conservative movement? Yeah. They're Christ first, right? But what I don't support is a Catholic monarchy. And that's exactly what the founding fathers left. They wanted to have separation of church and state because they didn't want the state to be involved with the church, and especially the church to influence the state. That doesn't mean that they didn't base the Constitution baked within it, the Bible. And that doesn't mean that our society doesn't agree with Christianity. So where does it fit? You're a Catholic. That's where it fits. It just, I disagree with a Catholic monarchy. And so did the founding fathers.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, everybody.
Hey, Emily, does that make me hate Catholics, by the way? And, since I don't agree with that, I hate Catholics.
Well, you hate everyone. That's not Christian.
I hate everyone. That's it. Okay. All right.
Well, let's give everybody, here's what I do want to give. I want to give both of you a chance, and let's try to keep it relatively brief. And brief, I know we might have a lot to say. It sounds like we did have some middle ground in terms of the conversation, of maybe some restriction as well as agreement on Plan B and birth control, which I think is a great thing to find, along with the fact that we were able to sit down and have a conversation. Two people who had significant beef prior to might still have beef afterwards, but let's give both of you an opportunity to appeal to your side, a more pro-choice Republican and a pro-life conservative. Briefly, let's start with Emily, your appeal to your side.
Yeah, at the end of the day, I feel like we need to start being able to argue without religion. As someone who's not religious and I'm surrounded by a lot of not religious people. I think we also need to be a bit of the more mature party and realize that people have opinions like me based on upbringing and life experience. So to tell people that they are wrong does not do anything, because if you guys were to grow up exactly how I did, you would probably come out the same way. As someone who has been extremely far left their entire life and now is considered right wing, I would say safely, and a lot of people can agree, and this is why people like me and I'm as popular as I am and they come to my content. I don't attack and shame everyone. That's not my thing. I've made a lot of mistakes in my life, and I'm very, very proud to be where I am. It was very difficult, and I did it all by myself. And I think the best thing we can do, which is why I try to do this with a comedy approach, is the only time I've ever changed my opinions on things is genuinely through having a community that involves support and love. And I can say that I'm very proud and happy to shift a lot of people from the left and middle to middle right, or even far right, as you could say, because I think I'm just a very chill person who's not so judgmental. And I can say 100% a fact, this narrative of like, I'm going to have a platform that attacks people and specifically attacks women all day is doing absolutely nothing for whatever movement this is you claim to be a part of. It's actually pushing people so much further away from the right and from religion because it is so inherently negative and judgmental. I've never opened a Bible in my life. I assumed as a Christian, you should show things through love and empathy, and you're not supposed to judge other people. I thought that was up to God. And I'm very lucky to be where I am, and I'm very happy. And I just believe that everyone's human and people are allowed to make mistakes. And it's just really not my place to judge them, but to steer them with some sort of understanding.
Thank you. RC?
Yeah, I'd say let's look at what started the United States. Let's look at why the founding fathers wanted to birth the best nation of all time. And let's see how they formed the Constitution. It is undeniable that they baked Christianity within it. They baked the Bible within it. It's undeniable that 99% of our society through the 1700s, 1800s, and really up to around 1950s were Christian. We all collectively in this nation, societally speaking, because there is separation of church and state, we collectively agreed upon the same values. For the most part, we agreed that Christian traditional values is the standard. That is largely why this country is so great. And when you look in 1962, I picked that date because that's when the Supreme Court ripped away prayer in public schools and ripped away Christianity from what we've always taught children in public schools. You look at the crime rates after, you look at divorce rates skyrocketing, you look at marriages plummeting, you look at the degradation of our society, and you wonder why they're allowing certain things that they're allowing in schools, certain things that they are allowing in our society. And if you like the direction that we're going, then pick Emily's position. Stay away from God. Stay away from all the things religiously that made us so great. That as a nation, as a society, we all came together and agreed upon, let's raise our children with these values. Let's stay together in a marriage. Let's have a mother and father raise a child, right? Let's keep together the nuclear family, which is between a man and a woman. Even Democrats agreed to that up to around 2012, right? Everybody agreed to that, the Republican and the Democrat Party. And then there was this major shift away because of political reasons. And you have people like Emily that want to appeal to the other side, and they want to, you know, bring in these voters. And I just don't say negotiate with them. No, if we continue to move away from what made us so great, which is a Christian nation, if we continue to move away from that, you see the fruits of what that's doing to us. You see what they're doing in the schools. You see what they're doing in society. You see the things that they're pushing. You see the consequences of moving away from God. I don't think this is a controversial take. I think that we've always agreed this. I know that we've always agreed to this. And I want to conserve that value, that Christian traditional value, hence the reason that I'm a conservative. And we absolutely have to reestablish that Christ comes first and that America comes first.
Well, thank you both. Fabian, anything you'd like to close out on? You're muted.
Yeah, I was going to say thank you both. It's been a whirlwind, and the comment section is just, you know, all over the place. It's really incredible to see what people think, and also what the questions that they were asking. But I really want to thank you both for being here, for being so cordial most of the time. You know, Kevin and I really appreciate you guys being here, and I think that people learned a lot about both of you actually having a conversation together rather than, you know, these little sound bites on social media.
Absolutely. And one, I want to make sure everybody has an opportunity to shout out real quick where people can find you, where people can follow you. RC, we'll start with you.
Yeah, the Right Corner IG. I'm only on Instagram. I was on TikTok. I'm growing another account that's to be spoke about later. It's growing pretty fast, but I don't want to speak too much about that. I'm starting something. Let's just say that. But if you want to find me, the Right Corner IG, you'll see me on Instagram.
Absolutely. Emily?
If you haven't found me already, it's Emily Saves America on Instagram, Emily Saves America on YouTube, Emily Saves USA on X. What else? Emily Saves America on Patreon. I'm everywhere. Everyone's already seen me. You'll find me.
Fabian, did you want to shout yourself out?
Yeah, you guys, you can check me out at Fabian Lux, Ultra Shadow Band, or on Instagram and everywhere else, Fabian LUXE.
If you Google me, Speechless with Kev, anywhere, Speechless with Kev, Kev, that's me. You can find me just about anywhere. And thank you guys so much for tuning in. Make sure, if you guys liked this video, to like it, hit that thumbs up, subscribe to our channels, Breakaway USA, everywhere. Check out all of our amazing content 7 days a week across pretty much all platforms, Breakaway USA. Like, subscribe, comment, share it with your friends. God bless you guys. God bless America, and Breakaway USA.